Hello, my name is David Ames. I am the admissions officer for the undergraduate performance courses at Rose Bruford College. These courses are acting, acting musicianship, American theatre arts, European theatre arts, and theatre and social change. I'm going to talk to you a bit about the application, audition, and interview processes for all of these courses. So, what will happen first of all, if you do apply to any of these courses through UCAS, they will submit your application through to us. It can take up to about a month depending on how busy they are at that time. We will receive it and then I will send you an email which will tell you what we need you to submit in terms of self-tapes and forms. For the acting musicianship and American theatre arts courses, we will ask you to submit the self-tape containing 2 pieces, one contemporary piece, that can be anything from around 1960 onwards, and one classical piece. I say classical, it can be anything from Shakespeare's body of work or anything from that era, but also we will send you a list of plays which you can choose a piece from if you wish to. That will be included in the email. Just in case you're not that familiar with Shakespeare, we want to give you a bit more scope and choice there. So you'll get all of those. Then you submit those in a self-tape to us. We will then forward those to the tutors and they will decide if they want to call you back. If you are called back for the acting course, you will come back in and do a morning or an afternoon with us, which will include 2 workshops, one in voice and one in movement. They're both designed to see how you work in that context, but also how you work with us in that context. So it's like a 2-way process. So you get a chance to see how we operate and whether we might be the right place for you. So it's always 2-way process throughout the audition process. Remember that. There'll also be a one-on-one session with you and the panel. So you'll come back in and do your pieces again for the audition panel. They'll work with you, maybe redirect you, get a student up in the space with you, that kind of thing, just to see how you respond to direction there. So that's the second round. If you're then successful in being called back for a third and final round, that will be on another day where you'll come in and do an improvisation workshop, and you'll also be given a bit of text to work on in pairs. Don't worry if you're not a sight reader, that's not what it's about. It's about seeing how you work with another person in the space. There's also an interview at the end of that day. So that's the acting course process. The recalls for that tend to take place between January and April. So that gives you a sense of where we are with that in terms of the timings. Acting musicianship, if you're called back for a recall for that, we'll call you back in to do a morning with us, which will include the same 2 workshops as for the acting course, so that's voice and movement. You'll also do your speeches again. You'll also be asked to prepare a song and also play your instrument or instruments. So that's the second round. If you're then asked to stay on for the afternoon, that will be ostensibly the third round. You'll have a one-on-one with the audition panel. They'll interview you and they may ask to see your speeches again. For the American Theatre Arts course, that's slightly different. So you'll submit your tapes and then come in for a workshop if you're called back in. But the workshop for that is just a much smaller affair, which can take, it's just with 2 or 3 other people. You'll also do your speeches again, and you'll also have an interview. That interview, they will ask you about The Crucible by Arthur Miller. So if you're not familiar with that play and you are looking to apply for that course, there's a heads up, maybe have a read of that before you apply, so it gives you a bit of a sense of that play. Finally, European Theatre Arts, we'll only ask you to submit 1 piece, which is the contemporary piece. For all of these courses, you can use the same pieces if you wish, so there's no need to record different pieces for each course. So yeah, European Theatre Arts, we ask you to submit that 1 piece, and then you'll be called back in for a morning or an afternoon with us, which will again include a group workshop and also a group talk, so you get to ask questions about the programme. And you'll also have a one-on-one with the course tutors, and they'll interview you and have a watch of your piece and work with you on that. So that's the process for all of those courses. Theatre and social change is quite different in that we don't ask you to submit a self-tape or prepare a piece. All we'll ask you to do, we will invite you in for an audition or an interview or a workshop. That will be either online or in person, depending on your preference. We'll give you the option of that. At that interview and workshop, you will be asked to talk about a political speech that you've engaged with. So have a think about speeches, either recent ones or even current ones, or those from 10, 20, even 100 years ago that you feel some sort of passion about. It doesn't matter whether you agree with it or disagree with it, but if it's something that you feel you can talk about, then just remember the title of the course is Social Change. So something that you care about and think that maybe you can use theatre to change in some way. It may be about changing attitudes. It may be about going out into the community and working with them and using theatre to help them. So yeah, have a think about that, but that's not something you need to learn. It's just something you need to prepare, have good working knowledge of. So that's the process for that course. Going back to the self-tapes, if you are filming those, we don't have any requirements or restrictions on the self-tapes in terms of how they're filmed. I would recommend trying to film them in landscape if possible. But as you can see, I'm not filming a landscape because I have problems. So you may well do as well. It's not a problem. If you do it in portrait, that's fine. Again, we're not judging on that. You can film it on your phone or on your tablet. If you haven't got a laptop, that's fine. Again, we're not judging you on the quality of your filming or the quality of the videos. We just want to see you. Similarly, if you can find a good space to perform in, that's great. But again, it's not essential. So if you've only got a closet to perform in, that's fine. Again, just we want to see you. So don't panic if there's not a great deal of space for you to do that in. It's really important to think about the pieces you're choosing. Try not to choose pieces that you think maybe might get you remembered or show you, wow the panel or that sort of thing. That's not what we're looking for. You might get remembered, but it may not be for the right reasons. So have a think about pieces that you feel some connection with. We don't worry too much about gender or age or accent. We do ask you to perform one of the pieces in your own accent. Other than that, you can perform the other in whichever accent you wish, but try and choose things that you connect with, that you can put something of yourself into. We don't test you on that. We don't judge you on your choice of piece, but it just helps you in terms of auditioning if you have got some sort of connection with the piece. Maybe have a think about whether it's a character that you could potentially see yourself being cast as. That might be another way of looking at it. Try and choose two contrasting pieces for the courses we ask for 2 pieces for. It may well be, they don't have to be one that's massively tragic and another one which is hilariously funny, but just 2 speeches which show different facets of you. Try not to choose 2 angry speeches or 2 sad pieces or anything like that. Just try and choose things so we can get a flavour of you. It's really important throughout the process that you remember that we're looking to form an ensemble for each of these courses. We're not looking at taking on a Rose Bruford student. There's no such thing as a Rose Bruford student as such. Each person that comes in is an individual, and they leave as an individual just with the training to go out and work in the industry. So that's what we're looking at. We don't know what the ensembles will look like. We want to see what you could bring to the ensemble so that we get a nice mix of people from diverse backgrounds and diverse experiences who can all bring something unique to the course. So bear that in mind as well when you're auditioning and looking at us, that we don't have a typical Rose Bruford College student going out with a stamp saying, I trained at Rose Bruford College. We just want you to go out there as a trained actor or performer. In terms of UCAS points, often people ask us about what we ask in that sense. In theory, we ask for 64 UCAS points for the acting, musicianship and theatre and social change courses. 64 UCAS points equates to 2 Cs as an example at A level, so bear that in mind. For the European Theatre Arts and American Theatre Arts, we ask for 96 points as a rule, which is 3 Cs or equivalent. However, for all of the courses, we look at all sorts of things. So if you're not likely to meet those requirements, or if you've already finished your education and you didn't meet those, don't worry at all. We can look at certain other things. If you come through the audition process, there's all sorts of things we can look at in terms of contextual admissions, backgrounds. There may be all sorts of reasons why you haven't achieved those grades. So we can look at all sorts of things there. So don't panic about that. In terms of size of classes, people often ask us how big the cohorts are. For acting, we take on 45 students. They are split into 3 groups of 15. Those groups mix in the first 2 years, so in those years you should work with pretty much everybody within your cohort. Acting musicianship, there's 1 group of 15 or 16. American Theatre Arts, there is 1 group of around 20. And European Theatre Arts, there are around 36 to 38 students, which are split into usually 2 groups, but often more groups than that. So that gives you a flavour of those. Theatre and social change is around 12 to 15. Hopefully all of that has given you a bit of an indication as to what we're looking at and what we're looking for, a bit of guidance there. As I say, you will receive an email from me when you apply. Please reply to that email to ask any questions that you might have. I'm only too happy to answer them for you. Hopefully we'll see you at an audition and I'll receive your self-tape in good time. If you apply through UCAS by the 26th of January, then you're guaranteed an invitation to submit your audition or interview material to us. So please bear that in mind. 26th of January is the deadline for guaranteed consideration. The audition and interview processes tend to go through from now through till April, but we don't front load the offers. So if you audition in April, then you'll still have as much chance as somebody who might have auditioned now. So don't worry too much. First and last people have equal opportunity and equal chance of being offered a place on any of the courses. I hope that helps. I hope that's useful to you. I felt it was only fair as you're submitting self-tapes that I should do the same. So this is my self-tape. I look forward to receiving your application in due course. And thanks very much. Bye for now.